a distant, younger relative of Cao Cao who once outwitted Zhang Fei and Ma Chao in the early stages of the Hanzhong campaign, but he later fell for Zhou Fang's plot at Shiting and died shortly after they suffered a great defeat there. His tomb has since been discovered, which contained bones of a 50-year-old man and a 40-year-old woman. The tomb held chinaware, copperware, liquor cups, jars, and a bronze seal about the size of a coin which revealed the tomb's owner's identity, Cao Xiu. When the Yellow Turban Rebellion broke out, the Cao clan left their home in Xiao County and scattered in different directions to avoid getting caught up in the chaos. Cao Xiu was around 10 years old when his father died, and he only had one servant to help him arrange the funeral. Once his father was properly buried, he took his mother and then settled down in Wu Commandery, as his grandfather had once served as the administrator there. One day, after seeing a portrait of his ancestor in the administrator's office, he became so overwhelmed by emotions that he knelt down and cried. Everyone present at the scene felt touched when they saw him crying. When he heard Cao Cao was raising an army to fight Dong Zhuo, the young teenager Tao Ziyu adopted a fake identity and travelled to Chenliu via Jing province. When he arrived, Cao Cao remarked, "This is the 1,000 Li horse of my clan." He was allowed to live in the household alongside Cao Pi and was even treated like a son. He became one of the commanders of the elite Tiger and Leopard cavalry unit and so fought in the various battles against the rival warlords throughout Cao Cao's rise to power. Later, in 217, when Shi Haoyuan was stationed at Hanzhong and Liu Bei wanted to seize it for himself, Wu Lan led troops to garrison at Xiabian County, so Cao Cao sent his cousin Cao Hong to attack them. Cao Xiu was commissioned as a cavalry commandant to serve as an advisor, but before they left, Cao Cao told him, "You may be an advisor, but you're actually the commander." When Cao Hong received the order, he delegated his command over to Cao Xiu. As they marched to their destination, Ma Chao and Zhang Fei led their troops to Gushan in an attempt to cut off the Wei army's retreat route. Cao Hong and the others were unsure about what the enemy was trying to do, but Cao Xiu pointed out it was just a ruse. If they really wanted to cut off their retreat route, they would do so in secret, instead of making it so obvious. He suggested to Cao Hong to carry out the attack on Wu Lan before he could link up with Ma Chao or Zhang Fei, thus forcing them to retreat. Cao Hong heeded his suggestion and then defeated Wu Lan, and as Cao Xiu predicted, the other armies pulled back their troops once they heard of Wu Lan's defeat. When Hanzhong was eventually captured by Liu Bei, the Wei armies were ordered to return to Chang'an. At this time, Cao Xiu was considered by many a good advisor, so was appointed as a commandant of the Central Army. Under Cao Pi's leadership, Cao Xiu was also treated as a son, and they had a close relationship. He was appointed as general who leads the army, and then fiefed by Cao Pi as the Marquis of Dongyang village for his past achievements. When Shi Hadun passed away, Cao Xiu replaced him as a supervisor of all military operations and promoted to general who guards the south. Cao Pi held his hands while seeing him off, dismounted from his horse, and was reluctant to part with him. When Cao Xiu reached his assigned position at Zhaoling County, he led his troops to attack Liyang County and succeeded in driving Sun Quan's forces away. He then sent his troops to cross the Yangtze River, where they burnt down a few thousand enemy camps. Towards the end of 220, Cao Pi usurped the throne from the emperor. After his coronation, Cao Xiu was made a general who attacks the east, appointed as inspector of Yang province, and elevated to a district marquis. When Cao Xiu's mother died, Cao Pi issued an order to exempt him from the formalities and austere lifestyle of filial mourning, which was usually customary for office holders when their parents died. He was excused from wearing mourning garments and allowed to eat meat and drink alcohol. His health deteriorated, however, due to grief and a much-needed desire to go home, so Cao Pi approved his request and sent Shou Qiao to be his personal representative at the affair. Cao Xiu organised the funeral arrangements and had his mother properly buried at Xiao County within one day, after which he wanted to return straight back to his post. Before he left, Cao Pi came to meet him in person to comfort and console him. This incident shows how close Cao Pi was to Cao Xiu and how highly he was regarded. During Cao Pi's three-pronged invasion of Wu, Cao Xiu was sent with Zhang Ba, Zhang Liao and the others to attack the Wu stronghold at Dongku. At the time, Cao Xiu commanded over 20 armies, so he formed his best naval fleet out of them before leading them down the Zizhi tributary river to the Yangtze. Cao Xiu launched a piercing attack onto the Wu fleet at Dongku after he saw they suffered heavy damage during a storm. Sun Lang had also accidentally set fire to the Wu army's food supply. Despite the highly unfavourable situation the Wu forces were in, Sun Shao and Xu Sheng's reinforcements arrived to assist Lu Fan. They were able to regroup and stage a counterattack, going on to win the battle, but at a great military cost. Cao Pi made a famous comment in 225 that heaven created the Yangtze River to divide the north and the south. During his service under Cao Rui, Cao Xiu led his forces to attack Shende at Wan County, defeated them, and killed Shende in battle. Two other Wu officers, Han Zong and Zhai Dan, soon decided to bring their troops along and surrender to Cao Xiu. In recognition for this achievement, Cao Xiu had his number of taxable households increased to 2,500 and was made a Grand Marshal, then ordered to continue supervising all military operations in Yang province. Cao Rui planned an invasion of Wu just like his father before him, so he ordered Sima Yi to lead forces from Jing province, sailing them down the Han River to Shenyang County. From here, he would supervise the ongoing attack against Wu. Shou Fang had pretended to surrender and defect to Cao Xiu, who led some 100,000 troops deep into unfriendly territory to attack Wan County. According to legend, Cao Xiu did not believe Shou Fang at first, so he cut off locks of his hair to prove his loyalty, and then used his knowledge of the local terrain to lead Cao Xiu to a clearing where he could set up a camp. Jia Kui advised Cao Xiu not to trust Shou Fang, but his words were not heeded, plus his 70,000 troops were removed from his command. Cao Xiu fell for the enemy ruse and was deceived into leading his troops straight into a Wu ambush whilst en route to Wan. He was unable to gain the upper hand against Lu Xun's forces, but Jia Kui came along and helped him escape the ambush, then he ordered a full retreat to Shiting. After realizing he'd been tricked, Cao Xiu felt deeply ashamed, so he wrote to Cao Rui to apologize and request that he is to be punished accordingly. Thinking he had more troops than supplies than he did, he chose to turn back and engage Lu Xun's army. He faced off against Lu Xun, Zhu Huan and Chuan Kong, who led 3 armies advancing forward simultaneously. Cao Xiu barely escaped the battlefield of his life when his army was decisively defeated. In the middle of the night, many Wei soldiers started panicking, so many of them deserted and abandoned their weapons, armour and equipment. The Wu forces pursued them to Jiaxi, where they annihilated some 10,000 soldiers before looting all of the Wei army's equipment and weaponry. Cao Rui not only pardoned Cao Xiu for his blunder, but also sent Yang Ji as an emissary to console him and continued to regard him as highly as before. It was too late, however, as Cao Xiu died some months later from skin infections on his back that came from the wounds he suffered during the battle. He was posthumously titled as Marquis Zhuang, meaning robust Marquis. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.